We expect police officers to keep a rational head in times of high stress or crisis. What happens when the police themselves are witnesses to strange and terrifying paranormal phenomena? Here are 5 stories of police involvement in some unexplainable paranormal incidents. Number 5. Haunted Station. Many of the police officers based at the Espanola police station in New Mexico believe the site to be haunted after Officer Carl Romero spotted something strange on the in-house surveillance camera. Its vantage point at the entryway to the station picked up a bright white moving object, which Romero initially assumed was an insect, until he recognised the human-like movement of a ghostly walking figure. As the station entryway is secured with a locked gate and alarm system, Romero knew it could not be a living being that he was observing walking through the wire fence. On reporting to his superiors and revealing the footage the day after, he received a sympathetic response, as many of them had experienced scary sightings and mysterious noises around the building. Although the station is not situated on a former burial ground and no one has lost their life within the walls, Romero believes the hauntings may be related to multiple unsolved series of crimes around the area over some years. Number 4. Soul Collector. Lieutenant Frank Mara, now retired, recalled a paranormal incident while researching his 9/11-based book called Hallowed Ground. As one of the police officers assigned to checking rubble at the base of the World Trade Center towers in September 2001, it was not until 2013 that he remembered an odd encounter at the time. A detective whom he interviewed reminded him of his own experience during the long, grueling hours of his work at Ground Zero. The detective had heard an account of a ghostly old Red Cross worker who had materialised to some of the officers while they worked. The woman was attempting to serve them coffee and sandwiches, as did Red Cross volunteers during World War II. On hearing the story, Mara remembered sighting a black woman wearing a Red Cross uniform appearing at various times while he worked. She carried a tray of sandwiches and vanished every time he tried to get a good view of her. Some other police officers also stationed in the area after the plane attacks reported seeing large eerie shadows and dark shapes in amongst the debris. Mara consulted a medium about these experiences and was told that he may have seen a soul collector assisting spirits in their journey to the hereafter. He now honestly believes that this is what he witnessed. Number 3. Otherworld Visitors. In 2009, an anonymous off-duty police sergeant was travelling along a road near historic Silbury Hill in Wiltshire, England, when he sighted what he thought were 3 forensic officers grouped in a field. Wearing white coveralls, the 3 were gazing at something below them on the ground. Curious, the sergeant stopped to investigate, then looked that all 3 figures were over 2 meters or 6 feet tall with blonde hair. As he approached them, he heard a crackling sound like static electricity pulsating throughout the field. When the beings noticed him, they immediately raced out of sight with superhuman speed, disappearing in 1 second. The sergeant realised that the 3 mysterious figures had been inspecting a crop circle that had just appeared in the field a few days ago. Terrified and still surrounded by the jarring noise, the sergeant returned home to nurse a severe headache. The Wiltshire police station distanced itself from the incident because the sergeant was off duty when it happened. He later contacted UFO experts and crop circle researchers Andrew Russell and Colin Andrews, who were convinced that the sergeant had witnessed something otherworldly. Number 2. Saving Cry. In 2015, 25-year-old Jennifer Grosbeck was driving home with her 80-month-old daughter, Lily, when her car crashed into a concrete barrier and rolled into a river. A fisherman noticed the vehicle lying upside down in the water 14 hours later and immediately called the police. Officer Charles Beddoes was one of the first responders to arrive at the scene, and when he observed an arm through the window of the submerged car, he and other police officers entered the water to search for any survivors. At this point, each of the 4 men distinctly heard a woman's voice crying out, "Help me, we're in here." The men replied back, "Hang in there, We're trying what we can, feeling extremely motivated by the probability of a life survivor. The adrenaline-driven men pushed themselves in the icy rapids to reach the car, but were then disappointed to find that Jennifer Grosbeck had passed some time ago. The officers initially did not see Lily, who was suspended upside down, luckily clear of the freezing water. But on turning the car right side up, they saw the toddler and immediately rescued her, then performing CPR. Still unconscious, the little girl was rushed to hospital and survived. The police officers who had to be treated for hypothermia are at a loss to where the mysterious voice came from, but they merit it with spurring a much speedier response which may have saved little Lily's life. Number 1. Strange possession. In events that were witnessed by at least 4 police, Don Decker was said to have been possessed by an evil spirit, which enabled him to make it rain indoors. In 1983, the prison inmate was on compassionate leave to attend his grandfather's funeral. While staying with family friends in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, he reportedly collapsed in the bathroom and claimed to have heard a vision of an old man who seemed to be wearing a crown. Soon after this, water began dripping from the roof and walls and was soon pouring down like rain, as well as streaming upwards from the floor, defying gravity. Knowing this not to be a plumbing problem, Decker's 2 friends were shocked to see him in a trance-like state and immediately alerted the police. Decker was then seen levitating off the floor and being thrown about the room and against the wall, while scratches that had appeared on his wrists spread throughout his body. The 2 police officers who attended were skeptics and did not file a report, but those who visited the next day were terrified to witness a gold cross burning Decker's skin, as well as the man being invisibly lifted off the floor and thrown across the room. When Decker was returned to prison, some of the police officers on duty reported water surging up his cell walls and liquid with the consistency of silicone materializing on a supervisor's shirt. A plumber was called to the prison, but he became visibly distressed and made a hasty exit after witnessing the phenomena inside Decker's cell. It is said that most of the officers are completely convinced that Decker was possessed by the devil, which gave him supernatural powers.